Okay.
There's people.
Good evening, everyone. We are going to call to order the regular meeting of the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, November 21st, 2024, and the approximate time is about 6:32. We are going to want to start by saying that Nick Stone, the director of the Parks Department, unfortunately could not make it this evening. But in his stead, we have the city manager, Dan Schwartz, who's going to take over his role. And part of that role is the roll call. If you could run us through that, please.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Baxter.
Here.
Chair Capel.
Here.
And let the record note that Commissioner Fardell is absent, as is Commissioner Sunshine.
Great, thank you. We're going to roll into agenda item number 2, which is public comments. I'll just read that the Parks and Recreation Commission will hear public comments only on matters over which they have jurisdiction. There will be no commission discussion. The chair will allow no more than 5 minutes to any individual. Unless the chair determines otherwise, the total amount of time allocated to this agenda item will be 15 minutes. And I'd imagine most of you have come here tonight on the issue of the off-leash dog in Piper Park. That is an item on the agenda. So we're not going to be taking any public comment on that. You'll have a chance to speak on that later. Right now, it's for any subject that anyone wants to speak of that's not on the agenda. And if anyone in the room is interested in coming up and speaking, please come up, state your name, and please indicate where you live. I'm not seeing anyone. Mr. Schwartz, is there anyone online who's looking to speak for a non-agenda item?
I'm looking for raised hands, and I do not see any raised hands.
Okay. Well, then we're going to move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the consent calendar. Do we have enough people here that were?
You do. You have a quorum, and you can.
Okay. All right, then. I will take a motion for the approval of the minutes from the meeting of October 17, 2024.
I'll make a movement to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope.
No one opposed.
All right, great. Recorded as approved unanimously.
All right. And we're just going to move right into the public hearing, which is agenda item 4.1, which is the advisory vote on whether the city council should amend the municipal code to allow dogs to be off leash in Piper Park from sunrise until noon. I'll begin by saying that I appreciate everyone's interest in this item. Thanks for coming out on this cold and windy evening. We will begin by allowing members of the community to come up and speak on this item. Again, please come up one at a time, state your name and where you live, and you'll have 5 minutes to say what you need to say. Yeah.
I have a couple of things I need to inform the commission before you take public comment.
Okay.
In addition to the staff report, which I think is fairly self-explanatory, subsequent to the issuance of the staff report, staff had more time to confer with colleagues around the county to see if there were any active examples that you should be aware of, because there were references to different types of dog regulations in some of the correspondence that you received. Specific to the request that's been made, there's only one community we found with anything that is a valid, what I would call a consistent parallel to what's been asked today, and that's Memorial Park in San Anselmo. Like our parks, Memorial Park is open from sunrise to sunset. Dogs are allowed off leash in Memorial Park from sunrise to 8 a.m. on weekdays and from sunrise to 9 a.m. on weekends. They are also allowed to be off leash for the 30 minutes prior to sunset on any day of the week. That's the only park that has a rule that I would say is in line with specifically with what was requested. So I did want to note that because one discussion the commission may want to have is not just the request, but whether the parameters of the hours is something to discuss. Second, because you're doing an advisory vote this evening, you're not taking an action that would effectuate an immediate change. There was no comment in this report about environmental impact. However, you did receive a number of letters and comments from residents and organizations concerned about environmental impact. Those were referred to the city attorney's office, and the city attorney has asked me to convey to you that prior to the council taking up any specific question where they might take action, it will be necessary for the city under the California Environmental Quality Act to do some level of review of what the impact of dogs off leash would mean. So with that, Mr. Chair, now I will turn it over to you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. Typically, we do get a summary of the staff report, which I failed to do. So thanks for that. Is there anything else we need to know from the staff report in terms of?
I think this question otherwise is rather straightforward with those two additions.
Great. At this time, we will open up the floor to any public comment.
I'll go first. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Good evening. My name is Chris Denike. I live at 67 Elm here in Larkspur. I have a few notes here I'd like to share with you guys about the benefits I believe why dogs should have the right to be off leash. For starters, it's true that dogs thrive when they can engage in natural behaviors such as running, sniffing, and exploring at their own pace. This freedom satisfies innate instincts, making them happier and more balanced, which enhances their well-being. Getting an exercise which allows them to freely explore and move more vigorously and varied exercises compared to on-leash walks. This helps maintain their healthy weight, strengthens their muscles, and improves their cardiovascular health. As well, science has proven that dogs benefit from exploring new smells, sights, and sounds. Off-leash time encourages curiosity that can help reduce their boredom, which in turn decreases the likelihood of destructive behaviors at home. Off-leash socialization helps dogs develop and maintain proper social skills. It teaches them appropriate ways to communicate and play, fostering confidence, and reduces their fear and aggression. There are some behavioral benefits, which giving a dog a freedom to make decisions, explore, and engage in natural behaviors. It reduces their stress and frustration. It allows them to be calmer and more confident. Off-leash activities strengthen the bond between other dogs and their owners. Training and positive reinforcement in off-leash settings build trust and mutual understanding. The issue with dog parks, and I think that's what some of the pushback has been from people who've been opposing a dogs off leash at the park, are there's too many dogs in one confined space, which leads to territorial disputes and mobbing behavior. These crowded parks make it harder to control individual dogs and ensure a positive experience. Some owners within dog parks will bring unvaccinated, aggressive, or sick dogs to parks, putting their other dogs at risk. Further, spreading of diseases. Dog parks can be hotspots for transmittable illnesses like kennel cough, parvovirus, and parasites, fleas, ticks, and internal worms, especially if dogs are not properly vaccinated. The chaotic environment of a fenced-in dog park can overwhelm some dogs, leading to anxiety and reactivity. Dogs may learn negative behaviors like bullying or excessive barking if interactions are not monitored. Untrained or poorly socialized dogs can cause conflicts, and some owners do not intervene effectively to prevent fights. Rough play ultimately can lead to accidental injuries to your dog, to our dogs or others. Now a little bit about me, my dog, my experience. My dog is a rescue. She is intelligent. She is obedient. When we got her 8 years ago, she had a broken leg. Because of this, she has one leg that is shorter than the other, and she cannot bend that leg. She cannot be confined within a fenced area with other dogs because of the aggression and mob mentality that is born within a confined area. If a dog were to jump on her back, her leg would snap, thus causing hardship for her and us. I've been personally walking her at Piper Park for the past 8 years. Not once have we had an issue with humans or other dogs. The morning walkers are respectful. We move off the trail when the Park Service folks are working, and in fact, they are always pleased to see us. We know many of them by name. Occasionally, the Hall middle schoolers will run the loop in the morning. Each and every one of us either leash up our dogs or have them at our side. On several occasions, the kids ask to say hi to our dogs. It's a very friendly exchange. There have been no dog fights that I've witnessed, and everyone picks up after their dogs. The bottom line is that we have created a safe environment and a tight community of dogs and their walkers. Most of the time, we're the only ones on the loop in the morning. There is no reason to deny us, your tax-paying locals, the right to walk our dogs off leash for a couple of hours in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Cozy, and I live in Greenbrae with my wife Stephanie and our 2 daughters and a little rescue dog named Sunny. I don't want to repeat any of the points that Chris made, but I agree with all of them, especially that his dog is intelligent and well trained. There's 3 points I'd like to make, and the first is kind of highlights something Chris said. It is true that for many small dogs, rescue dogs, nervous dogs, the fenced-in dog park is just not a great solution. And I know that the park spent a lot of time and money putting in those beautiful dog runs. There were some drainage issues. I think they've been resolved. There's one for big dogs, there's one for little dogs. And for some dogs, I think that is a great solution. Not my dog. She can't be confined. She feels trapped. She feels nervous. So for those folks out there that say, hey, we built you a dog park, it's not a one size fits all thing, and it actually doesn't work for a lot of the dogs whose owners are represented tonight. A second argument you hear is, oh, just go someplace else. There's other parks that allow dogs off leash. Go someplace else. And in fact, just across the waterway, there's this beautiful path where dogs are allowed off leash. Unfortunately, that path has tons of bikers, especially during commuter hours. And that's a whole separate discussion I'm sure we'll have on a separate night. I don't think it'll be as pleasant, but anyway, the bikers on that path really can create an unsafe situation for off-leash dogs, frankly, anybody out there walking, kids on scooters, etc. But the go someplace else, that's not a great solution either. But my third point, which is actually the most important, is the parks are a community space. I moved to Marin for the parks. My wife will say we moved here for the schools. It was really for the parks. I trail run, I mountain bike, and I walk my dog at Piper, at Bon Air, all over. And in all of these environments, there's a sense of community, and everyone seems to inherently know how to behave. There's an etiquette. You're trail running, and you see a guy hiking along with a baby on his shoulders, you're going to give him a wide berth. You're on a mountain bike. You see a horse. You're on a trail. By the way, you're mountain biking on a fire road. You're allowed. You see a horse, right? You're going to give the horse a wide berth. You're at Piper Park with your dog. She's off leash. Oh, Hall's coming to run the mile. Oh, here come the Larkspur walkers. Let's leash our dogs, wish the kids good luck, say hi to the Larkspur walkers. We all do this. It's a community. We all love the park. We love being out there in the morning, looking up at the mountain, seeing the shorebirds. No one's letting their dog go into the marsh, right? A lot of these restrictions on dogs have to do with protecting wildlife and natural spaces. That's why they're not supposed to be off leash on certain trails. That's why the bikers can't be on certain trails. And we don't want our dogs in the marsh either. Believe me, that's something that doesn't come off for days. But the point is there's a real sense of community. We love the parks. We love the people we met at the parks. These are all my friends that I've met solely through my dog. And I think that not giving us enough credit or, acting like adults and thinking we will do the right thing, we know when to leash our dogs. And Chris already went through the benefits of why that off-leash time is important. But I think we can be trusted in the hours that we're permitted to have our dogs, in an off-leash environment to do the right thing. The cricket guys are there. This is not the time to have your dog be off-leash, right? But, there's some mornings that, to his point, we're the only folks there. So I just wanted to highlight the real community nature of it and how I think we can all work together so that the humans and the pets can continue to enjoy the benefits. Thank you.
Hey, public speaking, sorry. I'm Jennifer Welsh and I live in Larkspur on Creekview Circle. I'm just gonna read what I wrote because I'm really bad at this. I'm sorry if there's a little overlap with what they've said so far. Just an introduction, I walked my dog, I had two, now I have one, at Piper Park for almost 16 years, pretty much every morning, except Sundays. I meet responsible dog owners daily, and I've never seen a dog fight. I've never seen a person attacked by a dog. Quite the opposite, actually. I walk with a bunch of elderly women, and most people are more than careful with their dogs, and they get their dogs under control. Either they have to leash them or by voice control. They've never been hurt. I read most of the letters, and a lot of them said you should go to the dog park. As we've said, dog posts are notorious for fights, for spreading disease and injuries. Our current dog park is full of potholes. Dog can step in a hole, boom, that's a $6,000 surgery. Also, last year, it was closed for most of the year because of the rains. My daughter tried to take her boyfriend's dog there. There was a big padlock on it. And I don't know the dates of how long it was closed, but I checked over and over again, and it was closed for the majority of the rainy season. Maybe that's been fixed. I don't know. We just started. I can stand here and debate good dog owners and bad dog owners all night. There will always be both responsible, but responsible dog owners clean up after their dogs, maintain voice control over their dogs, and they're the ones that are being punished by the bad behavior of other dogs and other bad dog owners. I should say owners, not dogs. Our request is not for free reign over the park. We're asking for a limited time, a limited area. We're not even saying we want to be on the field. We just the pathway around the outside. Limited time, limited area, and they have to be under voice control. There are those dogs that are going to break that rule, and they should be cited. We're not asking a free-for-all. We're there to protect the marshlands. We're there to protect the kids that want to run. We're not asking for, hey, let's have the dogs shit all over the field. Sorry. So when the kids play soccer, they step in it. No one wants that. We want to be able to walk a couple hours in the morning around the outside and take care of our dog poop, pick up after ourselves, stay out of everyone's way. We've done it for 16 years. We can do it for 16 more. That is it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carly Dow. I'm a home. I've lived here in Larkspur for 10 years. I'm at 56 Bayview Ave. I feel like I might be one of the younger ones here at 43, but I feel like that's a fun thing to note because I've met an amazing group of people that I would never have otherwise crossed paths with. And so I just want to follow up on community building through this park and through these walks has been unparalleled for me in my life with my pets and my family. I also just concur with a lot of what Chris wrote. My letter was very much based more about community and less about the health facts and the well-being facts for the dogs, and I thought what Chris shared was terrific. So I'll just read what I wrote, so it's on record, because I think my letter went to the city council and not to you guys. I'm writing to support off-leash walking hours at Piper. The time we spent walking our dogs at Piper Park has profoundly enriched the connection to Larkspur community. We believe this initiative would provide significant health benefits for dog owners and their pets and create deeper connections among residents. Off-leash hours transform Piper Park into more than just a recreational hub area. It creates a vibrant social hub. We've had the privilege of meeting and forming friendships with individuals from all walks of life, including retirees, local real estate agents, shop owners, entrepreneurs, attorneys, fellow parents and their children. And what began as casual conversations while our dogs played has blossomed into longer lunch dates, professional business opportunities, and profound friendships. These moments of connection are invaluable and would be difficult to replicate in other settings. Beyond the interpersonal benefits, off-leash hours contribute to the physical and mental well-being of dogs and their owners. Since all of the signs have gone up, I've stopped going. I found other ways to walk my dog, and I have to say that my health, mental health too, and my dog's health and mental health both deteriorated. Off-leash hours would allow dogs to exercise freely, reducing stress, promoting their health, while owners would also enjoy similar benefits through walking, fresh air, social interaction. The current dog park, although beautiful, does not provide the same opportunity for movement and exercise. My dogs go there and they don't even move around. They sit still. For many of us, Piper Park has become a cornerstone of our daily routines and is a place where we feel part of a community. We understand that off-leash policies must balance the needs of all park users, and we support establishing specific hours to accommodate different groups by dedicating designated times, like the morning slot, for off-leash dog walking. The city can ensure that the park remains inclusive and enjoyable for everyone. We respectfully urge the city to consider this request. Off-leash hours would not only enhance the quality of life for pet owners, but also strengthen the fabric of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to start by thanking you for taking comments on this. Whatever way you go, thank you for hearing us out.
Please, just for the record.
I will. My name is Liz Millay. I live in Larkspur on 120 Marina Vista Ave. I also own a business here in Corte Madera. I'm an attorney, and my husband and I own the business together. We have a little dog named Bixby. And I submitted a comment about Bixby and our experience with Piper, but I want to talk about something that is not in my comment. Little Bixby, even though he's a young guy, was diagnosed with cancer in March, and I gotta try to keep it together here. No, that Piper Park means a lot to Bixby. He's a little anxious guy, and when he was diagnosed with cancer, that's kind of when those changes in the park were happening. And the signs started going up after that. And we thought, you know, how are we gonna get Bixby re-socialized? Because he was very scared. And what has been talked about today is the amount of joy the dogs get from this socialization they can do off leash. They're running, they're sniffing, they're just being dogs. And the thing that our vet prescribed after Bixby did recover from cancer, she prescribed, let him just be a dog. Let him go run around somewhere off leash where he can play. So we have been just driving to beaches because that's where we can let him do it. But we wish we could do it at Piper Park again. The community that we have created, because that we've been able to have that time we used to at Piper Park, has been incredible. And thank you for listening, and I hope that you will support just a limited number of off-leash hours every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina McNair. I'm at 182 Alicio in Greenbrae. I am the dog mom to 3 dogs. One passed away 2 weeks ago. Bentley, Pepino, and Carmelo. Bentley was a 110-pound Bernese Mountain Dog. Pepino is a 80-pound overweight Bernedoodle, and Carmelo is a 40-pound Bernedoodle. And I control my dogs very well, I think. Carmelo is a ball chaser. That's all he cares about. Ben died at 13. He was the 13-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog. And this group was so amazing to care for him, to visit with him, to make him feel special during his days where he could only walk a few steps, but still wanted to go to the park. I knew this meeting was coming up. I was excited about it. And I didn't know quite what to say. I'm not a person that really doesn't become speechless. I can battle with the best of them. But when I read the letters opposing the dog park, I've been going to Piper for just about 4 years. I'm there 5 days a week, sometime arriving 7:30 in the morning, leaving by 9, trying to avoid the school traffic coming and going. And I sat there reading these letters going, what park are these people talking about? What types of people are these people referring to? Because it's so polar opposite of anything I have experienced. And I have no problem telling somebody that doesn't have a dog under control to please control your dog. I am the type of person, if I see the Larkspur walkers coming, I leash my dogs. A lot of times they want to stop and they want to visit with me. They want to pet my dog. They want to learn more about my dogs. When the middle school kids run around, we all leash our dogs. We pull to the side. We leave. They're arriving. Many of us are already heading out. There's often times we're the only ones there. I went to the dog park last year because I was trying to be rule abiding. And I think I contacted the Public Works Department. No, I looked on my old emails today. No less than 12 times reaching out to Public Works. I'm not sure why I reached out to Public Works rather than Park and Rec. In July and August of 2023. From the garbage cans in the dog park being completely overflowing with bees flying everywhere, a massive amount of potholes at that time, the gate opening and closing the wrong direction, the fountain not working, the mud pits after raining, or sprinklers that are not properly set up. There's one sprinkler system that waters that whole dog area when some areas are shaded and some are sunny. The aggression amongst the dogs that are in the dog park are not acceptable to me. The safety for myself and the safety for my dogs and closed dog parks don't work for me. Having said that, this week I said, okay, this meeting's coming up. I'm going to go and check out the dog park again, give it a second chance. And walked in with my 2 dogs because Bentley's deceased. And the potholes, I have pictures because I was just so floored. The potholes literally are ankle deep. If I threw the ball for Carmelo, I didn't know where to throw it that wouldn't hit a hole. There's weeds everywhere. The fountain doesn't work still. Maybe it did, now it doesn't. The group of people, ladies, chatting away, their dogs are running all around, no one paying attention, dog over there pooping, no one paying attention, man sitting on the bench on his cell phone, no one paying attention. That's what you find in an enclosed dog park. When you're actually walking the loop, you've got engaged owners, you've got more than one owner, dogs playing in a group. It's so attentive. It's not the same experience as you have in an enclosed dog park. Somebody said in their letter that they were knocked down by a dog and had broken bones, that a student was bitten, a child was bitten. Bentley died. I went to the Humane Society to donate his food and some of his belongings. And I decided to ask one of the officers there if they kept records of incidences at different locations. So he looked up Piper Park, couldn't find anything to that matter. I imagine if a student was truly bitten, the Humane Society would have been notified. Enormous amounts of poop in the field. Right now, it's enclosed with the orange netting. There is probably no less than 100 geese sitting in that field. Once that orange netting is removed, I invite you to go walk the field. And hopefully you will understand the difference between geese poop and dog poop. There's a big difference. That is what the kids are rolling around in. They're not rolling around in dog poop. They want to use the park for peace, exercise, and be quiet with nature. So do I. That is my best time of the day, is to go out to the dog park, let my dog run and play, enjoy the beauty that's out there, visit with friends as we're walking by. I find no more pleasure. If I could just do that 24 hours a day, I'd be the happiest person in the world. So we're not destroying parklands. We're not invading the gardening area. If you're allergic to dogs, I can't help with that. The people that throw parties at the park, the people that come and play softball, lovely people. I encourage parties. I have them for my kids as well, but they don't clean up. So when they say our dogs are coming around begging for food, well, they've been trained that those people on Saturday and Sunday leave so much garbage behind. Of course, they're going to go and invade those garbage cans or those picnic areas. Some things are safe for them to nibble on. Some of them, I have no idea what they are. That makes me upset. I don't appreciate someone dictating to me what is sufficient for my own dog's needs as my children. I'm looking for a safe place to go. I'm looking for a friendship, both young and old. I'm looking for socialization for myself and my dogs, community, care, company, conversation, problem solving, helpfulness, gathering. I just simply want joy out at the park with my dogs, and that's what I get. And you'll see, if you come out one morning, you'll be like, what the heck is everyone concerned about? Environmental impacts? Come on, we just want to walk our dogs. That's all that we're looking for. So I, again, implore you to please recognize the importance of it, not for the dogs, but for the people as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Patty Souza. I live at 324 Wilson Way in Larkspur. Been there for 28 years. And I'm an early morning person, so I'm in the dog park at 7 and I'm, gone by 8. But the dog park has been transformative for me and for my dog. And I met so many cool people. A lot of them are here tonight. And I do let my dog off leash, but I'm really careful about it. She is pretty good about returning. She does always come back, and I don't walk her near the parking lot. So we stay at the other end, and I just can't imagine not letting her run or having the other dogs run, because there's just so much joy in that park. And everybody that goes there is careful about picking up after their pet. I often pick up sometimes somebody misses it, then I'll go get it. But I haven't witnessed any aggressive behavior in dogs, and people who come there and their dogs don't, assimilate well, they don't come back. So most of the people that go there are people that have gone there for a long, long time. And I just hope that, and appreciate the fact that you're listening, but that welcome you to come out and just come in the morning and just see what it's like out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Chuck Jones. I live at 140 Magnolia. And I moved here from Sacramento 7 years ago and got a new dog 6 years ago. The majority of my friends are people I've met at the dog park, because I don't find sort of the general area being overly welcome unless you have kids in a family and you meet people at school, et cetera. So meeting people at Piper Park has given me the largest group of friends that I have in Larkspur. That's me. My dog is a black pitty looking kind of dog, but he's the happiest dog. And people know him, and they call him many people tell me he's the best dog in the park, but
I haven't heard that.
they're all agreeing. But there are people who are afraid of dogs and who are afraid of black dogs and who are afraid of pity looking, you know, and I respect that. And there are people who come, I mean, safety is a critical issue, right? So the people who come and who are obviously afraid of dogs get respect from the people who walk their dogs off leash. We call them in, we put them on leash, we avoid them, we walk out of their way. Occasionally there is a confrontation, but it's more about people being afraid than it is about dogs being aggressive. So the kids who come out from hall and run around, many of them stop to pet the dogs. Most of them ignore the dogs. There's really no issue about safety between the off-leash dog owners and dogs and the hall. I was surprised at the tone of some of the letters. They seem to think us, well, it was a vituperative tone, but it didn't seem to me to be based upon any real events that I've been aware of walking my dog almost every day in the park for the last 7 years. But I recognize that safety is an issue, and particularly with those 4 or 5 or 6 Larkspur walkers who do walk around the park. Most of the other Larkspur walkers are off walking on the trails out here, which leads me to the resource issue. My opinion is that the resources that need to manage safety in Larkspur are better spent looking out for people who are riding their e-bikes too fast without helmets, coming too close to old people who are walking on those trails out there. I mean, it's kind of exciting to be out there and have somebody go by on an e-bike without a helmet doing 40 miles an hour. I mean, that's more thought-provoking to me than somebody walking a dog past someone else when the dog is under voice command. So my opinion is that resources are better spent out there on those trails, making sure that kids aren't hurting themselves. You've all heard and read the reports of the e-bike injuries that are happening, and we know that there are attempts to curb all that. Back to the dogs. It's a community, as has been said. People take care of each other and the dogs. People look out for other people who are not interested in dogs or who are afraid of dogs, and it works. All we're asking for is a recognition by the city that it's a good place for dogs to be off leash. And my opinion is that if we were to reduce the hours from dawn to 12 to dawn to 9 o'clock, then that would take care of those Larkspur walkers who start at 9 o'clock, who might be afraid of dogs, those 4 or 5 people who walk around in the morning. But the rest of it, we police ourselves, and we're happy, and we have a community, and I think we should recognize this as a benefit to the community of Larkspur as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Holly Myers. I live at 90 Puerto Placida in unincorporated Greenbrae, which is part of Larkspur. And since I have a sophomore at Redwood, and since he started at Redwood, I love to walk my 100-pound goofy black lab around the path in the mornings. And I can't tell you how many people I've met and the friendships that have been forged along that path. And I used to just put my headphones in and listen to my audiobook and walk around. But, you know, when I saw people that I recognized every single morning who were always there with their friendly dogs, it made me want to take my headphones off and engage with members of the community. And we live in one of the most beautiful, welcoming places. And I've had my dog for 3.5 years, and I can't tell you how many neighbors and community members that I have met solely through my dog, not through my kids, but through my dog. He, I believe, brings a lot of joy to people. I've had a number of people stop and talk to me about him, and I think that's the case with a lot of our dogs. And I think it's underestimated how much joy dogs can really bring to people's lives. And I don't believe that they should be isolated and kept, in a separate area away from the rest of us. And I have friends whose dogs aren't social and they're not well trained and they don't take them out. And I know that, this isn't the case for everyone in our community, but I do think that the people in this room and most of the people who live here are very responsible dog owners. And my dog's always under voice command. I always have treats with me, which he responds to. And I think that there's a difference in the quality of life, the quality of exercise that dogs are able to have off leash, especially dogs that are like to chase balls and are social. And, it really does enhance his day and his quality of life when he's able to be off leash in a responsible way. So thank you so much for hearing these comments.
Thank you.
I'm Josie Berkey. I live at 140 Magnolia. I'm a Larkspur native, born and bred, and I'm also a Larkspur walker. So, former, but because I have a dog, and I understand their concerns. There are a lot of frail elderly people in that group, but I have walked with them for years, and I would say that they are almost uniformly very positive towards dogs. They just don't want them around them while they're walking with the leashes, trip and the fall issues. So that's fine. I cleaved away from the Larkspur walkers because I have a dog. I don't want to get in their way. But I would say that my experience with Larkspur walkers, if they are objecting to dogs, is that we just stay out of their way. And that means that we don't get in their way at Piper Park at 9 o'clock when they're gathering. That's when they gather, that's when they go their separate ways. There's 3 different groups, basically. There's the ones that are really active and like to go up and down hills. There's ones that are kind of flatlanders, and then there's the pussyfooters that like just to go around Piper Park. And those people that are going around Piper Park are fine. They like my dog. They're friendly towards the dog. I think it just takes a lot of communication for us to work with them and to accommodate them. And I really appreciate the opportunity to work out some compromise where we can be with them for, preserve their safety. I also want to say that I do think that we would get a lot better bang for our buck as far as public safety if we go after things that are really truly important, such as, enforcing speed limits in residential neighborhoods. I have a lot more fear about speeding cars than I do about dogs off leash. And I'd encourage you to take that into consideration. But where are you going to put your resources? That would be a better one. Thanks.
Before you go, I just have a question for you. It sounds like you have a lot of knowledge about the Larkspur walkers. Do you have an idea of how frequently that group walks?
Yes, I do. They walk every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and sometimes on Saturday from 9 until 10. They gather at Piper Park, and then they branch out based upon their ability from there. So I would say that there's probably 4 or 5 of them that just do the loop around Piper Park, and they're friendly. They like the dog. They bring treats. It's kind of hard to imagine that they don't like the dogs, but I know that some people feel very strongly about it. I think it's mostly fear-based as opposed to reality-based about any type of, bumping, trips and falls or something like that. But I get it. I mean, I dropped out of the Larkspur walkers when I got a dog because I don't want the dog, on a leash tripping them up. They just prefer it not to be that way. So we stayed out of their way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the audience?
Hi, my name is JJ Andre. I live on Sycamore Avenue. Thank you for taking the time to hear from us this evening. And thank you to staff for organizing the meeting, mentioning the Santa Selma part. The other one I'd submit that I think is interesting is Mill Valley, and we kind of get into semantics of what's a park and what's a dog park. But behind Mill Valley Middle School, if you haven't been back there, which is by marshland as well, there's a soccer field that has a fence around it. That's about 30–40% of the land. The other 60 to 70% of the land is open space. It's called a dog park, but it's the bulk of the land. The benefit of that design is the kids playing soccer are protected by the fence. So anyways, if you're looking for comparable situations, I would say that's a very comparable situation to Piper, but the dog park is the bulk of the land, the majority of the land.
Unfenced. It's unfenced.
The dog park is unfenced. The soccer field is fenced. With Piper, there's 2 softball fields that are unfenced, and there's a soccer field that's unfenced. I used to coach soccer there, which I'll get into. Anyways, I'd like to go ahead and just read my comments if it's okay. Thank you for taking the time to consider whether the current strict prohibition against off-leash dogs at Piper Park should be modified to allow reasonable use by well-behaved dogs under voice control for a specified number of hours on weekdays, perhaps sunrise to noon. But there's nothing magical about noon. If it needs to be a different hour, like 11 or 10, I think we're looking for something that's reasonable. And I think it's interesting, this issue is one side's a strict prohibition, never, ever, ever have a dog off leash, versus people that are asking for something that's reasonable, that's accommodated, that's trying to listen to others. I think that's an important thing here. It shouldn't get lost. I also appreciate that you guys can only issue an advisory opinion, that this is a municipal code provision that will eventually go to city council. So I think if you guys can give advice, whether you're for or against, that's fine. If you, I appreciate the ability that you guys can use, because you're on the Parks and Rec Commission, you guys have the expertise about Piper. So I look forward to the advice that you can give to city council. So more kind of specifically, as a longtime Larkspur resident, I've enjoyed walking with and without my dog in Larkspur and its fantastic nearby parks and open spaces such as Piper Park. I've also coached youth soccer practices and games at Piper Park in the afternoons and on weekends. Never seen on weekday mornings any kind of organized sporting activity. Weekday mornings are really quiet. It's basically this group and similar folks. Sorry. There's a terrific community of dog owners who walk regularly at Piper Park, and try to not repeat some things that have already been said, so I'm trying to skip over. There's many senior citizens. There's parents who drop their kids off at school. That's how I started going there. My kids were going to Hall, then Redwood. Now one of them's in college, and the other one will be in college next year. But there's a great community of people from different backgrounds, different professional backgrounds, some stay-at-home folks, some people that are retired. It is a really great community for the humans, not just the dogs. Most mornings, weekday mornings, the dog owners are the only ones on the Piper Loop. Yeah, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 10, there's 4 folks from Larkspur walkers. There's occasionally someone else out there, but this is pretty much who you're gonna see if you go out there any weekday morning, particularly before 10 a.m. Some people aren't going as much as they used to go because those red signs went up that are, very in your face. I think there's 4 or 5 of them around the park. It really kind of sends the wrong vibe personally. I would hope that you also consider taking those signs down, although that's not the key point that we're trying to get here. And I understand that maybe if there was a few hours a week where dogs are allowed off leash, there may be some people, because they're allergic or they're really fearful, that they don't want to go there. Well, if it's only 2 or 3 hours a day, less than 10% of the sunny or, hours where there's sunlight, they have the other 80 or 90% that they can go, and there shouldn't be dogs off leash. And I agree with some of the comments that the community service officers, they really should probably be focusing on other things like people who are speeding. But it would also be easier for them to issue tickets to people in the afternoon or evenings if there is some period of the day when you are allowed to be off leash. So I think by creating a period in the morning for well-behaved dogs to be off leash, it would actually embolden the police force if they need to give tickets. They're not going to be doing it in a way it's really, I've seen it happen. These people are apologizing, saying, I didn't join the police to do this, but I'm forced to do it. It's a very strange vibe that's happening there, and it's really new, and it's unfortunate. A lot of the comments talk about animal waste. And again, going back to when I coached soccer there is a lot of animal waste in the park, but it's from the geese. And geese poop is white and green. It's kind of gross. Looks very different than dog poop. Very hard to confuse the two. But there is a lot of animal waste in Piper Park. And so this idea of a environmental impact statement or something like that is interesting to me because I don't know how you're going to differentiate from the effects of goose poop or squirrel poop, coyote poop. There's all kinds of poop. The only poop that's getting picked up, by the way, is the dog poop. No one's picking up the units of the coyote, the squirrel poop, pigeon poop, whatever. So anyways, I'm going to stop there because I had some other things, but I think people have covered it. But thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Please.
Hi. Hi. My name is Kristen Powell, and I was born and raised here in Larkspur. I grew up, do I have to give my address?
Nope.
Okay, thanks. My parents still live here. I went to Hall from kindergarten until 8th grade. And then I went to Red Academy. My friends went to Redwood, but I played there soccer. I did play tennis. I personally have two emotional support dogs, and I also get a lot of emotional support from the outside and the people that we meet when we go on our walk. I have a whole new group of friends. Every morning, my dogs wake up, they know what's happening. We are going to the park, and if we don't, it's not a good day for me. They are not happy, and they get so excited, they light up and they whine the whole way to Piper Park, and it's 7 in the morning, the sun is coming up. I wish I could say I'm surprised that we even have to sit here and do this, but I think just from what people have said, it's pretty much, it makes me sad, and I can only guess that maybe the people that, I didn't write a letter or anything, I didn't know about that, but that's why I'm speaking. People like to complain about things, and I think it's just with everything in life, it's compromise. And if it's not affecting the greater, it's just not affecting anybody. It's just like a beautiful thing. And I hope that anybody that has a dog will come out and join us. We don't want to get too many dogs, but that's kind of like, I don't invite any more friends, like come down at 7, but they play, and there's nothing, they're not destroying the ground out there. They're not ruining the grass. They're not making potholes. They're happily playing. And I think it's so important that dogs have that freedom, because then it's safer for people, because they're learning to, hopefully they're being trained, they're learning to engage with people off leash, other dogs. They can meet each other like that. In the dog park, my dog got injured. I know another woman whose dog got injured, had to have surgery, and had to be kept in a kennel because they want to run and play, and he couldn't. And because of the potholes and the mud. And so we already, everybody went and did a great job speaking. And I just hope that that this can happen, and we just have compromise with people that have the problems, and really look at what their issues are and maybe where it's coming from. They're maybe projecting something from something else. I don't know. But so I would love to see, my place where I grew up be that kind of a place, and the taxpayer money going towards the right things, because I won't even get into my taxpayer money and what I've dealt with the police. So that will be another time. But when it comes to my animals, they saved my life. And so I hope that they can continue to have that freedom with us. So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience?
I'll be short. Kathleen Burke, Larkspur.
I was here a couple months ago talking about the small dog park and the fact that people with large dogs let their dogs into the small dog park and how dangerous that was. Which is one of the many reasons that I also prefer to walk around the path. And off leash, everybody covered it beautifully, but I just want to go on record that it is better for the people, it's better for the dogs, it's better for the world. So, thank you.
Thank you. If there's no one else from the audience, can we check and see if anyone's online, but would like to make a public comment?
I do have a raised hand. I will allow Julie Elected to talk. I should be able to speak.
Thank you. Thank you. Julie Electa, and I live in 71 Camellia Circle, and I walk my dog every morning that I can in Piper Park, and I have enjoyed the comments of many of my friends. I submitted a comment letter, and I think you have that, and I won't repeat what's in that, but I'd like to make a couple of new points that have come to me as I've read the comments from other people. First, you have before you a beautiful trial to take into consideration when you're looking at this. For the last 2 or 3 years, and certainly before that, well before that, people have been walking their dogs off leash in the morning as part of a social activity, enjoying it, and mixing with the Larkspur walkers, Jamie and her pet rabbit, Harvey, and we know them all. Yeah. With watching the Hall middle school children, and it's been going on. It's been happening. The trial that we're asking for has actually been happening, and we want to legitimatize it. And I think the new, rather overly large red signs have brought that issue up. Like, wait a minute. This is something that is working for everybody. And shouldn't it be, don't make us do something so patently illegal. Understand that it's a natural evolution. Dog ownership has increased considerably over the last 10 years. So that's one thing I would point out is you've already had a great test, and that test has been very successful. The complaints that I read in the file, I understand the concerns of the environmentalists. I'm not sure about the river otters, but I don't think the dog walking around the circuit of Piper Park is really a problem. The dogs stay mostly on the path and in the immediate green area. I just don't think that's a serious issue. And there always are people who say, well, I was, bitten by a dog, or somebody, I'm old. I'm 78, by the way, so I'm old too. That kind of anecdotal information, it doesn't resonate with my experience. I haven't seen that happen. And I think it is the unusual, not the typical. Most of the time, people without dogs who are sitting on the benches, they are actually friendly too. They're part of the community. And Dan Hilmer, one of our former council members, is a regular person without a dog who walks the park in the morning and seems to enjoy the community experience of having other walkers. So I think you have a lot of evidence already in front of you that this is working. It's working and it's compatible and it's not being abused. And the last point I'll make very quickly is that my dog is crippled, and he can't go into the dog parks because other dogs there, first of all, they're in those dog parks because they're totally out of control. They're rambunctious, they're puppies for a lot of reasons. They're not ready yet to participate in in the group that can walk around the park. And that's fine. I love that. but you can't take a dog that has a problem into that environment. Plus, those dog parks, they're going to be great in 3 or 4 or 5 years, but they're not there now. So they're not an answer to the problem or to the need that the community has for dog walking. Thank you for your consideration, and I think everything else is well put in my letter to you, and I hope you can make a recommendation to the council that reflects the fact that it's already going on, and it's going on very, very successfully.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience or online?
As your next speaker is Joy Lynn.
Hi, thank you so much. I want to say this has been so enlightening to me. I wrote an email, and I am opposed to this, by the way, but it was rewarding for me to hear everyone's comments and why you want this. I am also at Piper Park every morning. I actually work for the Larkspur Corte Madera school districts, so I have to be at work at 7:40. So I am there with my dog before I go to work every morning. And my dog is on a leash every morning. I can't trust her to be off leash. She'll run away. She'll be in Petaluma. But my thing is, I don't know in my heart that I oppose it so much as I did, although I will be interested in the environmental impact studies. But what I would like for all of the folks who have these well-trained dogs that they can have walking around with them, so many times in the morning, I will have someone yell as a big dog is approaching my little dog, "No worries, she's friendly." Please don't yell at me about how friendly your dog is. Instead, yell at your dog to come back to you. Because if you see my dog is on a leash, I obviously don't want that interaction. So that would be my one request to everyone, because then you're putting the responsibility on me. The other thing I will say is that I want a nice resolution. And I don't want to I have had dogs that I could be off leash. And I never did it at a public park. It was at other places. But so if this does happen, I want everyone to be aware that soon it won't be this small community that we see in this room today. The word will get out, and there will be other people coming with their dogs who aren't as well trained, and maybe you won't like them and you won't be in their community. So I just think there's a bigger issue, and I hope everyone will take a peek at that. So thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
Where does Joy live? Where does
Your
Joy
next-
from?
Your next speaker is Christy.
Hi, this is Christy Smith from 301 Corte Madera Avenue. And I wanted to say that I agree with speakers from Chris all the way through Julie, and I hear what Joy has just said and take that to heart. And I find that Piper Park is a benefit for my mental health and for the mental health of my dog. And it is such a fabulous part of the community here that I really support the opportunity to continue to meet friends and walk with them while the dogs are off leash. So thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, are you allowing people to make second comments? The raised hand is from someone who already spoke.
Unless there's an objection from any of the commissioners, I think we can.
Okay.
I got
And you decide, are you gonna have to give direction to the crowd to about whether they get to speak again?
Yeah, we,
Okay.
as long as it's.
I'll be very brief. I just want to respond.
So, Mr. Chair, Well, it's your discretion. It's generally not considered proper etiquette to solicit rebuttal from what other members of the public have said that can be viewed as intimidating other speakers from being able to provide their opinion. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Right, right. Any,
I was the debutante, the etiquette thing is in the bag.
like you said, maybe we should.
I heard the word rebuttal, so I just wanted to convey that to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we have to cut you off.
Did you want to find out, well, Miss Lynn, if your hand is still raised, were you wanting to speak again? If you are intending to speak, not to speak in, could you lower your hand? You want to see what she has her hand raised for?
As long as it's not in, as a rebuttal to anything specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just heard someone want to know where I live. I think I heard a comment, where do I live? I live in Larkspur. I live at 631 Larkspur Plaza Drive, and I work at all of the Larkspur Corte Madera school districts as the district librarian. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more individuals online with their hand up?
No.
No. I think at this point we received a good amount of information. Unless there's any questions we haven't already spoke, I'm thinking that we move on to discussion amongst ourselves. So that's what we're going to do here. I just want to say thank you everyone for coming. There's certainly do not need to leave at all. You can listen to the discussion amongst the commissioner.
Good dogs. Thank you.
But you can also do it like as well.
Do any of you have dogs?
What's that?
Do any of you have dogs?
I do have a dog.
You do? He's good to know. So he's okay now. I know
We are going to, if you can clear the room, please, other, kind of the whole way. I will stay, so we're gonna continue on with our deliberations.
All right.
You want us to leave?
No, stay or go.
Stay or go.
You just wanna have some,
Yeah, okay, but we need to.
we need to talk. At this point, I'm gonna open this up for, discussion amongst the commissioners.
I need to gavel. Chair, you got it.
The door's closed, so I think we're gonna be okay now. Vicky?
Well, as you all know, I have a dog. And I am like what one of the speakers talked about, my dog walks primarily off leash over on the pathway, behind Bonnier, on Corte Madera Creek. And I do have a very, very nice community of, people that we have met via our dogs. And I think that that is wonderful, and it is a real sense of community. I also have to say, though, that in my experience, not everybody is a responsible dog owner. I happen to live on Corte Madera Creek, and I cannot tell you how many times I open the gate to step out onto the creek path and find myself stepping into dog poop. I'm a dog owner. I don't care for that. So I do think that there are people out there that do sometimes not control their dogs and do not clean up after their dogs. I think that in this situation, I would be supportive of some period of time where dogs to be off leash on the loop area of Piper Park. I was very taken with the email we received from Wildcare about the number of wildlife that have been injured by dogs. And also that is an area where there is nesting, there is a lot of, waterfowl, And I would like it not to be okay for dogs to be allowed to go into that area and go into the water. I think that that is an environmental concern as far as I'm concerned. I think I would recommend reducing the hours, not sunrise to noon. I think we've heard that we have people coming in about 9:30, 10 o'clock that use the park for other purposes. And maybe the hours could be sunrise to 9:30 or 9 or something like that. And hope that the people who use the park will continue to be respectful, and, you know, good stewards. That's my 2 cents.
Thanks.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm also a dog owner. I walk my dog 4 to 5 times a day on the same dog trail that you go on. I pick up with after her 4 to 5 times a day. It's really annoying when people don't pick up. I do think there's probably more geese poop in the Piper Park than there is dog poop at this time. The wildcare report was a little disheartening, and I do think we have to be considerate of the other species in Piper Park and on the proximity, and understand that, and one of those species as well. I think going into this today, my biggest concern was going to be safety, but from what I've heard from the Humane Society statistics, it doesn't seem like that is as much of an issue. I'd be curious if there are issues that showed up in Memorial Park in San Anselmo or this other park in Mill Valley. However, it sounds like they've been in operation with off-leash dog operations for a long period of time and have continued, and maybe that's a testament to their success. So I'd probably be in favor of a compromise where we have a reduced window for off-leash dog activities within Piper Park, and then maybe explore, you know, if there's an impact to other areas of the park we need to consider it of.
Okay. Well, tonight we've received a lot of comments from people in favor of this change in policy. I think we need to keep in mind that there was a lot of opposition to this as well. Maybe not so much in terms of who came tonight to speak,
Yeah.
but in terms of the number of people opposed, be they elderly and are concerned about their health and well-being. And I think we have to keep in mind that if we were to recommend a change to the policy, this ordinance, we're going to be taking something away from people. You know, we're taking away the people who come to that park and feel comfortable. And I think we have to remember that, you know, that this is going to impact them, the walkers, the people who come to you know, not be hassled or confronted by dogs. And so even though we didn't hear from those people tonight, we certainly did hear from them in written comments. I think that I'm a dog owner too. I think that I could be in favor of some type of recommendation, but I think that we should discuss any type of caveats, conditions to our recommendation. You know, we heard that the Larkspur walkers are out there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, I think that at a minimum, this should be a pilot study for a year. I don't know how you two feel about that.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
I'd support a pilot.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
things will change, you know, that's just the nature. Right now, we're hearing that there's a lot of positivity, that it's a very close-knit group of people. And, you know, there's a very kumbaya sort of feel that we're getting. But that could change once we tell the greater world that, hey, Larkspur's open for business for dogs off leash, and that could change the nature of what happens. So I think it's important for us to limit what goes on, make it a pilot study and for a year, and really consider the days and time by which we recommend a pilot study. if you guys are in agreement with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I do think a caveat would be that there are posted rules. In the dog park, there are posted rules.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna say we're gonna let these dogs be off leash in Piper, we're gonna make that recommendation. I would say there ought to be a set of rules for people, like you carry a leash.
Yeah.
You don't allow your dogs off the path. Or certainly to enter the waterways or whatever the right language is. But I think it would be very important that we recommend some additional rules.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, what, one of the testimonies said with her dog being on leash and other dogs running
Right,
after,
yeah.
it's not so
Yeah.
much. One party it is the other, and I think everybody, both sides were in agreement with that
Mhm.
in, an important facet of this.
I'm also comforted by the fact that, we do have these 3 different, environmental organizations who
Yeah,
have written to us.
Yeah.
With their concerns,
Mhm.
and, that really made me pause, about this whole thing. Maybe I thought maybe Piper Park is not the best location for, a park, just because of the proximity to the marshland. But I'm pleased to hear that this, even if we do give a recommendation to move forward with some type of pilot study, that there would be some type of environmental review to ensure that we're taking a look and considering the environmental impact on the marsh and on, the wildlife. Because I would hate for, birders to lose that opportunity, to come to, the park and enjoy, their use of the park as much as the dog walkers out there.
no, absolutely. I mean, the signs have gone up talking about, the different nesting
Right.
areas and migration patterns. And I think that's a wonderful amenity to the park. And I do think that, dogs should not engage in any way, chase any of that.
Right. All right, so if we're gonna have, some stipulations to this, do we wanna throw out some ideas you have about how we wanna, phrase this to the council? I mean, in terms of days or hours, or, because it seems to me that the community is very strong. They're gonna abide by the hours. There are other places in Marin County, in the neighboring communities, even, within Larkspur Quarter itself, where they can go. So I personally feel as a pilot study, we could limit it to a certain number of days. And those other days, well, there's got to compromise. And on the days, they could either go elsewhere, or you walk your dog on a leash those days.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe 4 days a week. Just to begin for the pilot program. And then in terms of hours, maybe even changing them during the different days. And so that we give people, the people who want to come to the park and walk and not have to be concerned about dogs.
Yeah.
Still the opportunity to come in the morning and at least a few days a week and feel as though they're comfortable.
Right.
And protected.
Mhm.
And, their ability to walk isn't completely taken away from them in the morning.
yeah, so it sounds like the walker group is there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 10. So as long as we're avoiding that window, would that be fine?
Yeah, and then we could do it that way too. Maybe like on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the hours only run from 10 to noon. And then the other days are longer, or,
Well, it seems to me that what we heard is most people like to be there early. And
Yeah.
walk their dogs, that there are very few,
Midday.
conflicting interest in the park. There's no scheduled activities and that kind of thing. So it would seem that if we would recommend sunrise to 9.
Yep.
Weekdays. That should allow the walkers to come in at 9. I don't know, I mean,
and would you want that consistent throughout the entire week, or would you consider?
To me, simplicity is best.
I agree. So if we're
Yeah,
changing one day as one rule and.
yeah, no, I
next
think
another,
simplicity is
We just
best.
said every day, 7 to 9.
Yeah,
How would you feel about that?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
And what do you think about weekends or just dogs on leash on weekends?
It seems to me that on weekends, we have a lot more programming in
That's right.
Piper. And it just might not be compatible with the programming.
Yeah, especially with soccer and some of these other
Yeah.
things picking up.
You know, that's just my thought. And you're right, there are other places you can walk on the pathways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that 7 to 9 seems to be, fairly limited in my estimation.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I think that we talked about at Memorial Park in San Luis was that they have an early morning shift and then an end of day shift.
Oh, an end of day, that's right.
As well to bookend the day ending at sunset. What would your thoughts on that be, or would you be more all day with the exception of that one walking hour?
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe an extended period, but I think that we have a very tight community of people out there who are walking their dogs and form these beautiful friendships and connections. I'm not so against having different hours on different days. So that you're not forcing them just into the early morning. You're giving people more of an opportunity to come later later in the morning, at least a few days a week. And I don't know how specific we need to get. But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of recommendation the council will want from us.
If, Dan, do you have an opinion or any advice you can give us on?
I think your conversation's headed in the right direction. I mean, I think if you feel that the hours that the initial requests came in are too broad, I think discussing what they should be is appropriate. I would actually encourage you to say sunrise to whatever time sunrise moves, and legally the park's not open before sunrise, so everyone's trespassing before sunrise. And then I heard you say you might want to see if there could be ways to post rules and other ways we might be able to discourage some of the behaviors that were expressed as concerns by some of the groups. So I think that's good direction back to the council. But I think you're really dialing in on, if you're going to say yes, refining what you think the time period should be is probably best. And I do think simply concur with what Commissioner Harrison said. I think most of the requests, both today and in what I saw in the comments, is really focused on that early morning period.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? What hours we want to recommend for the pilot study?
I would go sunrise to none. You know, because I do think, as you mentioned earlier, there are going to be people that will feel like something's being taken away from them. And if I don't want to walk where there are dogs off leash, but I do want to walk in Piper because it's a beautiful location. If I just say, well, I like walking at 8:30, but I'll come at 9, you know, and I think that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you consider 10?
Well, that interferes with the walker.
Crowd.
And, you know, that's a longstanding group that provides, you know, a lot of companionship and exercise. And I think they are an equally important community to be respectful
of. Okay, so do we want to discuss this further, or are we ready to make a motion?
What additional caveats do you think we have between like the hours, the environmental impacts?
Well,
Would you agree with that, or do you think that's?
I think we should make it clear that it's a pilot study for 1 year.
Okay.
And that after that year, we can review it.
Okay.
Bring it back to either the city council And if they're looking for, our recommendation on that,
Yeah,
we could once again, look at that in a year's time.
yeah,
And see how it's going and see if things have changed. If the nature of this beautiful community has changed because we've made this, this change to the city.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I do think, as one person brought up, that if the red signs come down and are replaced with some signs that just talk about off-leash rules and that kind of thing, more people may come and use
yeah,
Piper for that purpose. And I do think that we ought to take a look at that
yeah,
at some later date, a year or whatever it is, and say, now it's gotten a little out of hand, or hey, everything's great.
Okay. So, I think in terms of the rules, I like your idea that a leash must be carried at all times. I think that, they have to be under voice command.
Yeah, I mean, standard is
yeah,
you carry a leash, they have to be under voice command, you've got to pick up after your pet.
yeah.
Keep them away from the marsh areas.
What do you think about having a stated proximity relative to other on-leash animals or walker type parties? Because I know that's one of the things that we heard tonight causes
that's true.
anxiety to some of the other groups. Is that something that we would want to stipulate in the new kind of pilot program dog rules?
Off-leash owners must be considerate of other dogs that may be on leash.
Yeah,
It's just something in there that says, hey, you're gonna have your dog off leash. You know, because a lot of times we all have dogs, and you can sense when there's someone on
Absolutely, yeah.
walking their dog on leash.
Mhm.
You can sense when they don't like it. You know, and I think it's important to be considerate of those dog owners as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the signs on the multi-use paths, instructing bicyclists.
yeah,
That may or may not be followed, but one of them speaks to being courteous. You know, there's that thing that says, bicyclists be courteous, that kind of thing, so it's the same kind of thing. Hey, dog owners need to be courteous, regarding other people and their pets or whatever it is. I don't know that we need to wordsmith.
yeah,
I don't think you want us to wordsmith there.
No, I think several of the communities have some very excellent signs about what the rules should be around this, so we'll just draw from that.
Yeah.
I'd actually suggest one minor caveat, is just when Mr. Stone's back and up and running, I just want to double check weekend programming, and if he suggests the time ought to be a little earlier, I just don't know till I check in with him. I'm not sure exactly when some of the leagues are out on the field, and it might be that maybe that's something we could propose to the council that's seasonal based on when certain leagues are active and when they're not.
Yeah, it would be nice if on the weekends we have the flexibility to allow the off-leash dogs, later after 9 a.m.
yeah,
So it sounds like it's I haven't been out there myself on weekends much these days, but it sounds from the feedback we're getting from the audience that it's a slow time.
Yeah.
So be nice just to be able to afford the owners of off-leash dogs to have a little more time on the weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't
If it
interfere
doesn't
with the
interfere
program.
with the
Yeah.
program, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the period of performance for a trial pilot program? Is this 6 months? Is this a year? What do you guys?
Well, you're talking about you.
I think a year is a good amount of time, to look at it and see. And it's always gonna take a little while for the word to get out there and let's let it percolate for a year and then come back and see how things are going and see if we need to make any changes.
Well, I think the summer months could be very telling.
Yeah. And as far as metrics of performance and metrics of the success, are we looking for the community officer that's there on weekends to kind of give us that and additional testimony kind of at the end of the year? Is that what we want to review? Say like, yes, we're going to move forward and make this permanent, or?
But that's a possibility, but I think we're gonna hear from the community, and I'm sure that, the passionate, folks who came tonight are gonna come and after a year, probably give us their opinion on how things are going, and we'll probably get, some additional opposition and hear from their perspective how things have changed or, you know, what needs to be modified, after that year's up.
Is it possible to amend the ordinance to where it has a sunset clause?
It is, we also may be talking to the city council. It's possible to write the ordinance in a way that would transfer this to a resolution that could be more readily adjusted as we learn from a pilot program.
Great.
Okay. How detailed of a motion do you need from us?
I think the motion that I heard formulating that you could have somebody say is that you are moving an affirmative advisory vote to the council with the recommendations that there be a one-year pilot program. And during that program, the off-leash hours would be sunrise to 9 a.m. subject to some refinement after the recreation director has a chance to look at his programming schedule. And that you would like to see good signage regarding rules. And among the rules you're most concerned about are that a leash must be carried at all times, that the dog must demonstrate that it's under voice command, and that owners must clean up after their animals. That's all the main notes I heard, and I think one of you could move what I just said if you want to make it expeditious, or you can repeat what I just said.
I would make that motion with an addition,
All right,
which is one of the rules dealing with the waterway and the marshlands and the other forms of animal life.
so noted.
So I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So with that, just a reminder, this is an advisory vote. And as I indicated, the city attorney has noted that there will need to be an environmental review process. So with your advisory report vote, we probably will report that out to the council once we have a sense, timetable and budget to accomplish that task. So I'm guessing, given we're at the end of the year, this probably is before the council early in 2025 for substantive discussion.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Sounds
you.
reasonable.
And I hope that's, we're not looking for any feedback, but I hope that's a compromise that the dog community can live with.
That'd be great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I would say, I do encourage you to come out in the morning and check it out, because it's good for you to walk a couple loops as well as us with the dogs. It's just
I heard good things.
nice time of day.
All right, we are going to move on to the next item, and don't feel like you have to stay.
Yeah, thank you. You'd like to.
You'd like-
Thank you.
What is it?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna move on to, item 6, since there are no additional business items on the agenda. We're gonna move on to item 6, which is the director's board report. And I don't know if you have, you typically, Nick will.
Give you an update of sort of some of the things that are going on, and we've kind of quieted recreation for a little bit because, as you know, not only are we currently for a short period, we don't have Nick available, but we currently have a vacancy in our other key positions. So we haven't shut down entirely, just a little quieter and a little slower in our processing. However, one thing I do want to highlight, a lot of enthusiasm building to get the holiday lights up and running after Thanksgiving. So looking forward to making sure that goes off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Next item are the commissioners' reports. Here, item you have, anything that.
The only thing I would say is that, I was one of the many people that attended the opening of, the play area in Newman Park, the new area, Alex's Playground and Garden. And it was a wonderful event. It was absolutely fabulous. Really appreciate you know, the family and also the work that the city put into it. Because I live near that park, it is a real positive and popular amenity to the area. Kids are there all the time. It's really cool.
I was unable to attend, the kickoff, the ceremony, but I have gone by there a couple times and, it looks pretty wonderful. It's well attended.
Yeah.
Lots of kids out there,
Mhm.
really enjoying that new play area.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's a real plus for the area and the city.
Yeah, second that I also attended, Christina Malice's playground. It was a wonderful event. Playground, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Looking at different types of playgrounds that feel like, modern architecturally aesthetic, with a, Lego centerpiece with over 32,000 pieces, is a wonderful thing to see, and memorial to Alex. I think that was really neat. I walked Bonnier Landing Park this last week. I walked through it with my dog occasionally, found some leaky irrigation. That's something to report to.
I will make note and report that on.
Okay, and then, I spoke to, I guess, side conversation, the Larkspur Chamber of Commerce might be interested in co-hosting an event later in the year, or maybe co-sponsoring one of the music series that we have in the summer, something to keep on the agenda, to help bring additional people to, our events.
Cool.
Great. Well, thanks for that. I have nothing to add. That gets us to the last item on the agenda, which is the adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Fabulous.
Thank you very much.